a couple of people. Is that right?
Yeah, just my mom, my brother, my husband, and my best friend. I've never talked to anybody else about this stuff because it just
Okay.
seems crazy.
No, go ahead,
You're
hon.
saying his name was? I thought his name was Jim Harburg. I'm not sure,
Yeah,
but
there
he
was
inspired me to wanna.
there was a Joe, and then right after him was Jim Pyre.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's okay. It
Oh,
was
I must
easy
be
to
getting
get
confused.
mixed up there. Yeah, it was Joe Harbert and then Jim Pyre.
Yeah. So when I grew up in this house, I don't even know. I don't know if I should say where I'm living or
Yeah, I mean,
or not.
if you're comfortable to just say this the state, or you could say East Coast or West Coast, that is completely up to you.
I guess I'll just say Bremerton, Washington. I don't like say the street or anything because
Okay. Yes.
I was still living in that house. So, um, oh, so nice. Okay, so things would happen every day ever since I can remember. My third memory that I can remember, like from all of my life, I was sleeping upstairs by myself. I was like 2 years old, maybe 2 or 3, and I got woken up in the middle of the night by this loud noise. And so I was looking around the room, and I could see because there was like a street light and stuff. And all of a sudden, one of my open drawers like slammed shut on its own. And I was pretty little, but I knew that that wasn't normal. So I ran to my parents' house, or my parents' room, and crawled into bed with them. And so everything, sorry, I'm getting so nervous.
That's okay. And
Things would
especially if
happen
you've
every
only,
day.
yeah, if you only told this a few times, it probably took me, I don't know, 10 or more times telling my experience before I could kind of
Oh,
spit
wow.
it out without having to swallow and take the breaks and deep breaths. It's totally fine, Jennifer, so take your time.
Okay. Okay, so, and things would happen, like, one of the most common things I remember, my brother and my mom would be in the living room. We have these, bird cages, and it would be like an invisible hand would, like, open up the bird cage and, like, start waving around inside the bird cage, and, like, the
Mm.
food dish would, like, go flying, and, like, the toys would be all over, the birds would be freaking out, and the door would, like, stay open as if, like, the invisible arm was, like, holding it up, you know what I mean? Stuff like that would happen all the time.
And was your mom or dad in the room when things like this would happen, and what would they say?
It would happen when my mom was in the room with us, but never when my dad was around.
Hmm.
So I don't know what this is all about. I guess they didn't want him to believe us or something that all this
Mm-hmm.
stuff was happening. And not a lot of stuff really happened around my mom that was really, really bad. The really bad stuff happened when my brother and I were trying to go to bed at night. Or one time I was asleep and I got woken up. My hair was being pulled, like, really hard. I didn't think it was my brother because he was all the way down the basement. I didn't think he'd wake up in the middle of the night to come pull my hair. So I tried it anyways to see if somebody was there, and I tried to like hit like where the end of my hair was, like wave my hand around and stuff, and all I could feel was like a cloud of like static electricity.
Mm.
And so that was kind of weird. I knew that that was probably like a spirit because my mom would. We went to church and we talked about like demons and stuff like that, and I started like feeling like that's what was like in the house. And I would get waken up like to something like it felt like somebody like hitting me really hard, like beating me on my back and my behind, and I could like move like my arms and stuff, but I couldn't get up because I was getting hit so hard. And sometimes it would feel like I could hear like something moving around inside my mattress, and all of a sudden like it would feel like a fist come out and like punch me like really hard. That would happen like if I was asleep or not. I mean like before falling asleep, so it wasn't like I was dreaming or anything yet. Almost every time I was upstairs where my room was, if I was walking towards the staircase area. I would hear something like start to chase me, like run behind me, like footsteps. And one time I was pushed down the stairs, and my mom's gonna just find out about this because I never told her that. I felt like two hands pushed me, and I don't know how this happened, but it felt like maybe my guardian angel or something picked me up so I didn't land at the bottom of the stairs. And I floated to the landing, and I was like put down gently. So that was pretty crazy.
You didn't tell your mom about that, but she was aware of other things going on. But
yeah,
was your father?
Yeah, I didn't want her to know. But...
Yeah, I could understand that. Was your father at least told about some of the things going on, either from you guys or from your mother?
I don't know how much my mom talked to him about it or not. I know that my brother and I we'd always give him such a hassle, like when it was time to go to bed, we'd always say we were too scared and stuff, and he would just get mad. He probably thought we were just making stuff up. I don't know.
Right. Just trying to get out of bedtime?
Yeah. But like normal kids do, like my son does, but we had real good reasons for not wanting to go to bed.
Yeah, I would say so. So you would always sleep alone. You're upstairs in your bedroom, and your brother slept downstairs in the basement?
That was, yeah, for quite a while. And then he started getting too scared to be downstairs because things would happen to him. Like, he said a lot of times it was like he wouldn't be able to see these spirits, so he would hear like a voice of a man and a woman, and they would like talk to him and say like really freaky things. And they would like hit him and stuff like that. So he would start getting too scared to be in the basement by himself. So it was kind of a comfort having him upstairs, but things still happen anyways.
So was he having the same experience as you, where he was getting hit or his hair pulled, or that he felt like something was... This description was just chilling. Something moving inside of your mattress. That was a chilling description. Was he having different experiences or the same as you?
It seemed like we came in contact with different spirits because of the descriptions that he had. Like he said, like downstairs, he'd see like a really dark, shadowy figure, and I've never seen that there. He said one time he saw like this, it looked like a biker guy, but he was like inflamed, like on fire. And like, so he would see like different things than I would. He would get hit when he was down in the basement, but I don't know how much else, or if anything else violent really happened to him, but he'd get woken up by like, he said like a lot of times he'd feel like somebody like breathing really hard into his ear, stuff like that. We just had like different experiences a lot that happened, but we also had some shared experiences. I can tell you like the craziest one that we had if you want to hear it.
Yeah, please do.
So we were upstairs, and this was shortly after he decided to start sleeping upstairs with me. There was no doorways up there, but there was like an entryway that separated the rooms upstairs. There was just two separate areas, and he was like just on the other side of the wall by the entryway, and I was where I was in my bed, and we just laid down and turned the lights out, and we were still like talking and stuff. And on the far other side of the room, I saw movement coming from. It was like this weird, I don't know how to describe it, but kind of like a tunnel thing that connected where my mom had her sewing stuff in another room to my room. I saw something coming out of there, and like slowly started floating out. It was like it looked like light bluish and like a little bit bigger size of a beach ball, and I saw that it had a face on it. And it floated like 5 feet up in the air, and once it did that, it started floating towards me, and I was like totally freaked out. It started talking to me. I can't remember exactly everything it was saying because I was probably like 5 or 6, at the time. So it was basically saying stuff like it was going to come and get me. And I had like this really deep, like, scratchy voice. I just remember thinking it was like the ugliest voice I've ever heard ever. And I started laughing after saying like it was going to come get me. And I told it, no, just go away and leave me alone. And it did, oh, this is so great. It did like a mimicking, like, it was like, I'm going to get you. And it's like, oh, I started laughing, like, really evil laugh. And by that time, it was probably like 5 feet away from me or so. And usually, like, when stuff would happen to me, I'd, like, just, like, run away, freaked out or whatever. But this time I was so scared. This was one of the first times I ever actually saw anything. This is the only time in my whole life that I've ever, like, spoken, like, had a conversation with an entity before. And I was, like, frozen with fear. And the only thing I could do was just scream at the top of my lungs. And luckily there was a light switch at the end or the bottom of the stairs. So my mom, like, she turned the light on really fast from downstairs, and as soon as she did that, the demon thing just disappeared. So I was asking my brother if he saw what I was seeing, and he said that he didn't see it. He could hear it, but he said that he saw something else that was floating, like, at the bottom, like, the end of my bed or so, like, really close to my bed. He said it was a floating skull that had flames around it, and he said as soon as my mom turned the light on, it, like, flew in this mini tent thing that I had.
So he saw something different, but he heard the laughter and the "I'm gonna get you."
Yeah, he heard the voice talking to me. Yeah.
Wow. And so why did your mother end up coming into the room? Because you guys were screaming or hollering or something?
Yeah, because I was screaming at the top of my lungs. I've never screamed like that ever.
Okay.
Like, most.
Gotcha.
And she was freaked out. She was like, what is going on?
So.
And then I remember later.
No, go ahead.
I just remember later that night, my dad was saying, like, don't worry, they can't hurt you and stuff. And I just remember thinking, oh yeah, that's not true, because I've been woken up several times, like, being beaten.
But you always labeled, you used the word demon, so in your mind, I mean, that's the only thing it could be, that you've always seen them as demons and having demonic activity.
In that house, but having other experiences in other places, I've seen what I would call, like, human spirits, and they, normally when I see them, they just look like a regular person, and can, like, sense they're present, or if I see them, like, the feeling that they give me, I mean, maybe it's not always good, but it's never, like, the spirits in this house I'm talking about, just really evil, and, like, their presence just makes you sick to your stomach.
Were you were born in that house and grew up there for most of your young life, or did you guys move there around the age of 2 or 3?
Yeah, we moved in when I was 2.
Okay.
And I remember moving day, where my brother had, like, this trash can on fire and stuff. So I remember far back, and luckily we moved out when I was 8. So, but other things happened to me in other places in the house that we moved in after, but just not nearly as bad.
Have you ever looked at the history of that house or the areas, or any idea as to why that house would have so many problems?
That's a good question. I've tried to, like, look stuff up about it, but I really couldn't find anything. I'm probably not the best at finding stuff on the internet, but I do have a theory. One time my brother and I were in the basement. We were going to get something that was stored down there. It was so weird because we were going to go into where he had his old room, and there was a room on the right, too, that was we just had stuff stored in there. And we were going to go in there when we were, like, a few feet away from those doors. It was just all of a sudden, the environment, I don't know how to explain it really. It just felt like something in the air, like, changing. And all of a sudden we saw this third door that we never seen before.
Mm.
And I was like, what the heck is that all about? We're going to see what's on the other side of this door. And we opened it up, and we saw, my brother said he saw something different. I can't remember exactly what he said he was seeing, but I can say what I saw. And this man in this room looked like a bedroom, and he was sitting on a bed. He was like stroking his guitar, and it looked like he was singing, but I didn't hear anything coming out of his, like I didn't hear his voice or anything. And he just didn't notice that we were there or anything. And on the walls, I saw like these weird like symbols and stuff.
Mm.
And all of a sudden, like just after a few seconds or so, it just disappeared, and we were out in the hallway again.
And then the third door was gone.
It was gone. It was just, yeah.
Your brother had the same experience of a door, but what he saw behind the door was different.
Yeah, I just can't remember exactly what he said that he was seeing in there.
Oh, yeah, no problem. I know that was a long time ago. So there was an
Yeah.
old man in there, and he's singing. Was there anyone else in the
actually
room with him?
No, it was just him, and I don't know if this is the best story, the story that's kind of connected with this. One time I had to go downstairs to get something from the food storage in the basement. I was about to head back up the stairs, and I saw the carpet move.
Mm.
I was like, holy crap. And my first instinct was I was like, about to run, but I got this feeling like something wanted me to move the carpet. And so I was like brave, I guess, and I started lifting it up. For some reason, like the carpet wasn't nailed in the floor or anything like that. Like underneath, it was cement. And so almost the complete floor uncovered, and like in the middle of the floor, there's this black door in the floor. And that was like fire time. And so I lifted up this door, and this rush of that stagnant, like musky air, like hit me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so weird. I looked down. Honestly, it was like 10 feet down or so, and I could see like somebody in there. I saw like they had like the skull and had some hair, like long hair. So I freaked out, and like I shut the door and I ran off, and I never told anybody. I told my mom 10, 15 years later, something like that.
So it was a skull, like a skeleton with, but the hair was still attached?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I feel like somebody was thrown into that hole, and I felt like it was that guy that I saw previous in that room. Mm-hmm. That looked like he was doing some kind of, I don't know, satanic worshiping or something.
So that's what those symbols were in your mind, if you look back and you think on it, they were satanic?
Well, I remember that there's pentagrams and other weird stuff that I don't know.
Yeah, that's never like all good to mess with. Yeah. Oh, boy.
Yeah, but so that's my theory, but I don't know, and I don't even know like if I was just seeing vision of what happened in the past, or if there was an actual body. But in my head, maybe I should tell the police one day, but I don't know like what that would mean, if they just would think I'm crazy, or...
It's pretty cool that and remarkable that you can remember back to when you were 2.
Well, all these things happen, yeah. All these things are really hard to... I mean, I've gotten over these things in my head, like, so many times, it's pretty hard to forget it, I think.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, some of them are
so traumatic.
Pretty dark, and, no kid should be seeing stuff like that. So, your mother, what sorts of things was she experiencing?
She said, well, with the bird cages moving around and stuff, and she, by herself, she said not much really would happen. She'd just see things that were, like, targeting my brother and I, like, for us to get freaked out. I just remember her saying, like, she saw some things move on their own, furniture moving a little bit on their own, but not really much would happen to her.
Oh, okay, and, so like, it's not like really she would see visions or a shadow person or anything like that. Okay, no. Gotcha.
Yeah, oh, speaking of seeing things, I can't believe I almost forgot about this story. Almost every night that I would have to go, we only have one bathroom in the main floor. So almost every night I would have to go to the bathroom, and coming down the stairs, I'd see like this weird guy in the dining room. He had like bulges on his face. He was like really large, He had like this weird beige robe and like a weird looking turban on. And he's sipping from this weird cup. The only way I could describe it, I don't know if you've ever seen Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Mm-hmm.
At the end, when he's like looking through those cups or something like that. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I sure do.
Yeah, he was drinking out something that looked like that. I'd see him like almost every night, and it started when I was really little, so I didn't even know that it wasn't normal yet. Like I'd just be like, "Why is this guy?"
I was gonna say, because I'm like, man, you are so brave to keep going down there. I would probably hold it every night, but I get it. I mean, if you see it when you're really super little, you're like, well, this guy's just gonna be down there. And so, did he ever interact with you? Did he ever look at you, or was this more like a movie playing?
Sometimes he would turn his head and look at me.
Oh.
And sometimes he wouldn't, but he'd always just sit there, drinking out of his weird cup. And I remember, like, one time asking my parents, who is this guy that's coming in the middle of the night? And they're like, what are you talking about? And so I was like, that's kind of weird. And I remember one time I was, like, looking through the cabinet, like, looking for his cup, and I didn't see it. And that's when I started realizing this must be some kind of spirit or something like that. And once I realized that, like, every night, that's when I would, like, go to the bathroom. Like, sometimes I would stop at the other side of the living room just to look back, have distance between me and the dining room, because there was, like, no doorway or anything, and he'd always be there.
It must be that morbid curiosity that's in all of us, right? You know he's going to be there, but you're like, okay, tonight I'm not going to look over there. I'm just going to go right to the bathroom. But our brains just, they don't work like that. Our reflexes don't work like that. And you always look, right? No matter how scary it is.
Right.
Oh my gosh. I can see that guy now. You have a really good description of him. So you're telling your parents this kind of stuff. And since your mother, she hasn't really seen anything very earth-shattering, but she's been around long enough to see furniture move and the weird thing with the birds and you guys' terror in the house. And I get your dad being like, come on, I mean, that's nothing. But time after time, if you're saying these sorts of things, your mom isn't kind of saying to your dad, hey, there's really something going on in this house. Did you get any sense that there was something going on in the background to where your parents were getting more concerned about the situation?
That's a really good question, but I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. Could be. They decided to do this program that is called self-help housing, and so we built a house, and it took a year and a half or so to build it, and there's also like a waiting list. So they probably were just, I don't know, like felt trapped or something, and had to wait for that program because it was probably too expensive to just buy a regular a house like regular way. So I'm not sure.
So as far as the initial reason that you got in touch with me was because of Joe Harbert and his call, is this part of this house, or is this a separate incident as far as the telepathy?
Oh, are you talking about when I saw Jesus?
Right.
Or this was that happened in that house. I was in the living room by myself. I don't know where my mom was or my brother or anything, but I was watching TV, and all of a sudden I saw like somebody appear in like the threshold from the living room to the hallway that goes to like the bathroom, and it's kind of hard to describe it. It looked like an opening, like a window to like another like dimension or something like that. Because I can see like behind him, like a little bit, a couple of feet to each side of him. Like I can see like behind him, like people were like doing like manual labor working and stuff behind him, and it looked like a long time ago. It kind of looks like Jesus. I was thinking that in my head, and he talked to me telepathically. Just Joe said it happened to him, and he's like, "Yeah, you're right. You know who I am, and he was saying that I shouldn't worry about what was going on in the house, and that he was watching over me, and then he just disappeared. And I wish it happened when I was pretty little, so I didn't really take in the heart what he told me at the time, because I would just get so scared there. But I wish I would have listened to him, because maybe things might have got better. Because I learned now, older, that if I just ignore stuff like that, then it usually just goes away. Or they don't even waste their time on me, but...
It just wants your attention.
Yeah.
So let's move to the photo that you posted into the Facebook group, the End of the Fray Radio Facebook group. I mean, what's going on here? Are you guys down in the basement?
That's the dining room.
Okay.
And we're just playing on the floor, and my mom decided to take a picture. And we didn't, notice anything. I just remember, I was like a teenager, watching, sightings or something like that on TV about people capturing, spirits and photos. And I was thinking, well, I wonder if we got something, from a picture from that house, because so many things happened there. So I was looking, and I found that picture. There's actually another one that had an even better, it was even easier to see the face in the floor, but it got lost somehow. I don't know what happened to it.
How old would you guess that you guys were in this photo?
I was probably 3.5 or so,
Mm-hmm.
and my brother 6.5, 7 years old.
And I'll post it in the show notes so that people can see it. But it looks like you guys are playing, and your brother has a sleeping bag draped over his shoulders, and you're kind of peeking out behind him and wrapped up in the sleeping bag. And it's not when you posted it, you didn't say, "Hey, look over my brother's left shoulder and right next to his head." I mean, you see it straight away. There was no need to point out where this thing was. And what it looks like is basically a full face, almost if you took a skull and if you take off your nose, that's what it looks like. And it looks like there's some lips and a brow ridge and where 2 eyes would be.
Yeah. Another thing was kind of weird. It looks like in that area on the floor, it's dark, but it looks like the face is brighter than the rest of the floor.
Yeah, and actually the entire floor, even on the other side of your brother, is also the same darkness, which is a good point.
Yeah.
Very, very good point, Jennifer. I didn't even see that till just now. I'm kind of zooming in on it, but all of that is a conformed color, except where you can see there's actual rubs on the photo because it's an original photo, and then you just blurred out your faces. But other than that, yeah, it looks like a nasty little face in the picture. So,
yeah, another thing that on the other picture that was better that got lost, it had horns, but it's not very easy to see on the picture that I scanned.
But it was to you the same face, the same entity.
Oh yeah, the same face in the same spot.
Wow.
It's just
okay.
Just I don't know if it was taken seconds before or seconds after the picture that I posted, but yeah, it had 2 horns, and it was just creepy.
Yeah, I think when I saw that picture, okay, I mean, I was already excited to talk to you, but once I saw the picture, I'm like, well, some will say, well, that's pareidolia and some other random things thrown in there, but when you have all this other stuff going on and you see a picture like that, I'm sure you're like, well, kind of ties in pretty well. Were there other photos that you guys have found from this house that make you go, oh, what was that?
There's there was another couple ones taken of me in the living room, and it looks like they're in the shadows. There looks kind of like there's a face, but I'm not really sure. I'm not sure what was in that area. Maybe it was a jacket or something hanging up in the air. I don't know, but it kind of looks like a face to me in the picture. Scan that one too if you want, but it may be hard to see.
So what does your brother say about all this now?
It freaks him out, but he likes to talk about it with me a lot.
That's good. That's really good. It freaks him out, but he likes to talk about it. I really like hearing that. I really do. Would love to talk to him too if he is ever interested. Why? So why do you think that it targeted you guys? And it's usually a cliche, right? It gets after the kids. We're more open to things when you're younger. If you guys are going to have experiences, why were some of them so different? Do you think they were conformed to you personally?
I just think there's several different entities, and maybe certain ones like to bug me, and certain ones like to bug my brother. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it was all demonic, or do you think there was another side to the whole thing? Yeah.
Except for the carpet being moved, I feel like that was the spirit of that person that I saw in the hole in the floor. Other than that, I feel like it was all demonic. All demonic.
As far as, I mean, what I would call visions, the man and he's singing, and then you saw the skull with the hair. It's like trying to tell you things. Yeah, it would be definitely good to talk to your brother and see what kind of things that he remembers from his quote-unquote visions, if that's what we want to call them. I wonder what it was trying to tell you or lead you to, and what could you really, as a kid, have done about it? I mean, was it trying to point you to a body buried on the property, right? What was the point of that?
I don't know. I feel like, well, for the human spirit, I feel like since I was so observant and things like, and was reacting to whenever something do something to me, like a spirit, I mean, so I feel like the human spirit just was trying to get anybody to know what happened to him or her. I say him maybe because I know, like, in the 80s or so, like, because the guy that I saw in the vision, he looked like he was from, like, the 80s, so I feel like, you know how guys had, like, longer hair back then, but I'm not sure if it was female or male, but I just feel like he or she just wanted anybody to know what happened, anybody that would listen, see.
What about the man with what you called the Holy Grail, right, from Indiana Jones? What about the man?
Oh, yeah, the Holy Grail.
Did anybody else see that guy? I mean, I know your dad didn't see anything, but did your brother see him at all?
No, I asked him if he ever saw him, and he didn't. I don't know why.
It's such. Why was he there every single night? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you walk downstairs and he's there, and you go to the restroom. You know, it takes a couple minutes, whatever, and you leave out of the restroom.
He'd still be there.
Oh, he's still there.
Yeah, he'd still be there.
And just doing his same thing.
Yeah, it always freaked me out having to come back, like walk towards him, and it was just like the staircase to where he was sitting. It was probably like 8 feet away. So
oh my goodness,
I've been pretty close to him.
You are so brave. It is funny, though, what kids will just suck up and get used to. You know, it's like, well, I gotta go to the bathroom, and then, gotta go upstairs. It's very simple. So you'd leave the bathroom, and you have to come within 8 feet of the guy, and he's doing his thing, and sometimes he'd look at you, sometimes he wouldn't, and you would just scoot upstairs and not look back and just go to bed and do your thing?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what would happen.
Yeah.
Like I said, things would happen upstairs. Something like lifting up my blankets up by my feet, so like I would feel like there was nothing like covering my feet anymore. After a minute or so, like drop my blanket again, just do weird stuff. I mean, every night something would happen.
In your room?
Yeah, in my room. Oh, and something that was kind of weird too. Sometimes in the mornings, I would hear, it would sound like my mom, except for like really like drawn out, like singing almost my name, and but in my mom's voice. First few times it would happen, like I would go downstairs, see what my mom would want, and she'd be like, I didn't call for you, I don't know what you're talking about. So something upstairs would like to imitate my mom, and one time, I don't know why we had to do this, but for some reason, we had to sleep upstairs. My mom, myself, and my brother and I guess they were like doing some kind of project or something, and so my mom had to sleep upstairs with us. We were in the same bed, and that morning I woke up, and I looked at my mom, And at first, she was like just staring straight up, like laying down. And she started like slowly like turning her head towards me.
Mm.
And when she started looking at me, she had like the most like angry, like disgusted face looking at me, and she just looked evil. Like you watch a movie or something like that. I don't know. She looked like pure evil, staring at me. And I remember like turning to my brother to see if he was awake, and I was gonna ask like, why is mom like so mad? And he wasn't awake yet. And I turned back to look at my mom, and there's nobody there.
Oh goodness.
So it was not her. She was downstairs or whatever, making breakfast.
How many times did that happen? Just the once?
Just that one time.
It seems like they're pretty strong. Whatever was in that house, they had a lot of cards in the deck to mess with you guys, huh?
Oh yeah, every day.
So
it was a relief when we moved out of there.
I can imagine. And you guys you were 8 when you moved out, you said, right?
Yeah.
So let's go back to the something moving inside the mattress thing.
Oh, yeah.
How often did that happen?
I remember it happening several times. I even would start having like nightmares about hearing it move, and sometimes I would force myself to go to sleep even though I was scared. In my dream, I remember one time I fell asleep when it was happening, and I just saw in my dream like this just moving around. I was woken up by being punched. It would do, but yeah, it happened several times.
There were times when you know for a fact that you were awake. Would it be more
like,
under your feet or your legs or up by your head?
This is like moving all around. I usually would get like punched in my back or like in my stomach if I was laying on my stomach, mid part of my body, but I would hear like the fist move all over in the bed, inside the bed.
Mm.
I could hear it like hitting the springs and stuff. Well, I mean like it, just trying to scare the crap out of me.
Wow.
It would like come like far out of the bed too. Like,
oh.
Like it punched me very, very hard. Very hard.
So that's when the punches would happen and was from underneath through the mattress.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or like from like in like the inside, like in the spring area, come up and punch me.
So Jennifer, was there any positive experiences in this house?
In that house, never.
I mean, yeah, if that's the answer, that's the answer. I like it. Can I imagine that would be the answer? I was probably assuming.
Yeah. I've had positive experiences later in life, but not in this house ever. It was always just really bad stuff.
What was the most terrifying part for you?
I don't know. I'm probably just having feel kind of like alone because I couldn't really talk to people about it and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of feeling trapped, I guess.
Has your brother ever said what was the worst for him?
He said that shadowy entity that he was seeing in the basement kind of like followed him like throughout his life, influenced him to make bad decisions.
So he feels something from that house is still attached to him.
It's attached to him. But I think it's gone now, but it was with him for several years.
But you don't feel like that. Like once you moved out at the age of 8, you were at least done with that, except for the memories, of course.
Yeah.
I wonder why it decided to follow your brother and not you, because you guys both had some very impactful experiences there.
I think I remember him telling me something like sometimes the shadowy figure would cast away like other spirits that were in the room with him. Seemed like it was his friend, and that's how it attached her. When he realized that it wasn't a good spirit anymore, it was like kind of too late. But I never like gave trust to any of the spirits. I always tried to never like just run away or things like that. So
did you ever see anything that you would classify as a shadow figure?
Yeah, yes, I have. But actually not so recently.
We can do this as a 2-parter, so we can go through the rest of your experiences at a different time, because I don't want I don't want to keep you too long from the kiddos. I totally understand.
Yeah, that would be good.
Okay.
I could tell you about the shadow people if you wanted, because that's really,
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
really short.
So how about the shadow people? You said you've seen them recently?
Yeah, I actually, growing up, I never, that I could recall, seen anything like that. When my son was born, though, he's going to be 3 in October. When he was born, and I brought him home, apartment home where we're living, like I always make sure, I always walk through and make sure I don't feel like any weird like vibes or any presences. So there was like nothing going on. When I brought him home, I started seeing like this weird shadowy figure like floating around like in the kitchen, or sometimes I'd see it in the reflection of the TV. One time he acted like he was like startled. Something like all of a sudden like appeared in front of him, like his eyes got big and his head like went back like he was looking at something like that startled him.
Right.
I would just ignore it, and eventually it went away, like I guess because I wasn't giving it the time of day really. And then when my daughter was born, I brought her home. Then another shadow person came around and started doing stuff, and this one seemed like even more active. I would see it like several times a day, and sometimes I'd pretend to be my son. Like if I was breastfeeding, like in the living room, I'd see like somebody walking from or down the little hallway that we have, the same height as my son, and I'd turn and look, and it'd be like this black shadow-looking person, and like it would just disappear. And my husband even said that he saw it. He said he saw it like on the wall, and he said it like tried to like reach towards my direction. Like it was just a couple feet away from me, it was like reaching for me. But I also just kept ignoring it, and like just recently, like 3 months ago or so, it just left, like the other one did.
You feel that they're all gone.
Yeah, like I haven't seen anything.
And why do you think that is, though?
I just feel like maybe like the anxiety of bringing a new little person in home, like the anxiety and all the hormones and things like that happening. I don't know, like attracts spirits. I don't know, like I feel like they feed off of negative energy, those kind of spirits. So that's all I can think of, but I'm not really sure. It makes sense because
it's a good theory.
It happened twice home my kids.
So before the kiddos were born, was there any time between you were 8 and the kiddos were born that you were really stressed or maybe sad, and that you did see something, or you haven't seen those shadow figures in between that time at all?
In between, you said when I was 8, or?
Yeah, so from the time you were 8 and left that house in between when the kids were born and you brought them home.
Yeah, it was just after bringing them home that I saw because I listen to a lot of like paranormal stuff and watch a lot of shows. But I would consider shadow people. That's the only, those 2 entities in this, after bringing the baby summer, are the only ones I've seen. But I've seen like lots of human spirit and like a couple demons after the house in Bremerton.
All right, so here's the plan for you and I. We're gonna leave this as part 1, and sometime in the near future, we're gonna go to part 2, and we're gonna talk about the rest of your experiences. And you did a really good job, by the way.
I'm nervous.
No, you're doing fantastic. And I hope that once we hang up and kind of the adrenaline calms down, because I totally know the feeling. You're like, okay, that felt good to talk about it.
Oh, yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, you're like, yes, because right now I don't feel better
about it. I hear myself, I'm probably like, oh, so weird.
Do you, I mean, maybe you don't know because you've only told a few people, but when you and your brother talk about this, does any activity ramp up? Because I hope that us talking about it doesn't get anything going again.
Well, things always happen to me, so
okay.
I don't know. Well, I don't know. I don't think so.
Oh, okay. I hope not.
So. It's usually like the same.
Okay. Well, Jennifer, thank you so much for coming on to share your stories, and I'll be in touch. And of course, any photos that you want to share with the folks that listen to the show, I'm sure they'll be very appreciative. I'll share the one photo, of course, that we discussed on this episode, so that people can
Yeah.
see that it's very plain. You can I don't need there's no red circles